Now then, guys, it's Phil. It's All Leeds TV, and we're back with a bit of a different twist on the player ratings. We're going to go through the season as a whole, and we're going to start with the defence and obviously the goalkeeper as well. And I've got the one and only Oscar with me. It was your idea, Oscar. You just want to split it into three, and we'll do the midfielders and the strikers the other night. You give us an idea of what this format's going to be, and tell everyone to get their ratings in as well.
Yeah, so the idea was, I think if we did all the ratings in one go, wouldn't really be able to discuss each player at length. It'd have been a really long video. And yeah, we thought we'd split it, as you said, mate, between defenders, goalkeepers, then midfielders, then forwards. So hopefully this week, we're going to try and get all three in this week, live as well, of course. So yeah, I mean, where do you want to start, mate? Do you want to just start with the goalkeeper? Because obviously we only have one goalkeeper all season, really.
Yeah. We should explain now, we're limiting this to people that have played 500 or more minutes. So if everyone wants to get ratings in for players like Charlie Cresswell and Leo Yelder, then obviously we're not going to cover them, but you can still send them in and we'll flash them up. But yeah, we'll start with the goalkeeper. We're not going to do Clarkson because obviously he didn't play enough minutes, but Illan Meslier, we're one of the very few that me and you have disagreed on at the start, Oscar. What did you give it,
mate? Yeah, we've gone for two very, very different ratings here. And I can see, obviously you've gone a bit on the lower scale. I've gone a bit on the higher scale. What I'll say about Illan Meslier is that you look at the start of the season. I think that's something important to remember. I mean, I know obviously it's not been a great second part of the season, but first part of the season, he was keeping us in games on his own. He had, I think, the best save percentage in the league. I think he had the most saves in the league. Consistently, probably our best player on the pitch, first sort of third of the season. You know, I'm thinking back to the Newcastle away game where he's making saves onto the post, Brighton away, Palace at home. A lot of different games that come to mind. Fulham away as well in the Cup. You know, there's a lot of different games where you're thinking he's really, really dragged us through that today. So yeah, guys, get your ratings in as we discuss this. But I've gone on the higher scale. I think a lot of people are going similar to what I've kind of gone with. I've gone a 7 out of 10 for Illan. It's one of them. I'd probably say it's probably an 8 or 9 for the first bit of the season, and then a 5 or 6 for the second bit of the season. So I know when we're doing these kind of ratings, we should caveat that I think naturally you kind of remember the last few games more, kind of thing, where maybe Meslier wasn't playing so well. I think that's natural with everything, you know, in terms of, I think, any kind of Player of the Year awards. I think naturally it's kind of like the last 10 games are more heavily weighted than the first 10 games, but trying to be balanced on it, I'll give him a 7. I think the reasons overall he's not got as high as what he did last season. I think his distribution hasn't been as good as what it was last season. I think he's showing a bit less confidence in that side of his game, and that's understandable because he has made some mistakes. We've not been as good as a team playing out the back either. We've made a lot of mistakes. And in general, it's not been going as well on the pitch. So I think he's lost that little bit of confidence in playing out the back. I think there's definitely a weakness in terms of on free kicks, set pieces. I think he's let a few in on set pieces where you thought, I remember the James Ward-Prowse free kick where I felt a non-form Meslier saves that. Obviously, the John Joe Shelby free kick, the Cornet free kick. All ones where you think Meslier of last season saves every single one of those. So there might be a slight weakness to shots to his right-hand side. There's a case for that in terms of from dead ball situations. But in general, I don't think he can criticise his general shot stopping. I think he probably has saved us more points than what he's cost us over the season. And that's kind of your minimum for a goalkeeper. I think he's past the minimum, so I've gone a 7. But you went very different, mate, on Meslier.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always a little bit under you anyway, in terms of, I'm under most people. But yeah, I'd say 6 is average. And I don't think he did have an average season. I thought he was a bit below average. So I went 5. Personally, for me, a lot of the things that you've said, you've already given my explanation. I'm not going to sit and criticise him. I think he's taken a bit of a batter into his confidence in the second half of the season, definitely. Shot stopping is usually the biggest strength of his. And for the vast majority of the season, it has kept us in games. And obviously, when you finished 17th, the difference is, have we stayed up because of the saves that he made? Probably so. But yeah, realistically, his distribution this season, I think, has been a lot different to last season. I think last season he had a really good season and it would have been up there with 7, 8s and 9s out of 10. Whereas this season, I just don't think he's...
I think we gave Meslier a 9 last season, yeah. I think.
Yeah, I don't think he pushed on this season and done himself justice, to be honest. And like you said, with some of them free kicks, the John Joe Shelby one sticks out the most for me, and it was pretty much straight at him. Other than that, I can't really pick at too many goals that we've conceded where I openly just blame him, to be honest. I think the Shelby one's probably one on its own. But, you can't finish 17th and concede how many league goals did we concede? 78 goals and expect to get more than a 6. I know it's him that's in net and there's a defence in front of him that have let him down a lot as well at times. But I've just gone just under average. I've gone a 5.
Just on the stats, Phil, I know obviously you've got FB Ref up in front of you. I mean, did Meslier concede more than what he was expected to concede? Or was it kind of like even?
Are we getting into the expected things now?
Yeah. You're the expert on this, Phil. You're the expert on this. But
So
let me just guess. I'm going to guess that he's either just even or just below what you'd expect him to. Sorry, just above what you'd expect him to concede. I don't think there'll be a lot in it.
So his post-shot XG over a season was actually minus 7.8. So on average, he would concede minus 0.21 goals per game less than he was expected to.
So he outperforms what he was expected to?
Yeah, very slightly. So he was expected to concede another 8 goals in the season, basically.
Well, there you go. You can't blame the 78 goals on
I've
Meslier.
gone the other way because he conceded 78, didn't he? No, I've gone the other way. He
conceded 8 more than he should have done.
Yeah, so he was meant to concede 70.2. Sorry, I really sold it there, didn't I?
I thought I was going to get a really good point in there. But anyway, we'll stop talking about post-shot XG. That's not the most exciting topic. You've got a 5, I've got a 7. Should we negotiate on a 6?
Yeah, we'll go
Let's
6.
negotiate on a 6. So here we go. First one of the day, Illan Meslier in at 6 out of 10. Now, Phil, we've got 2 right backs to look at. Do you want to go to the right backs and across the defence from there?
Yeah, we'll go to Luke Ayling first. So,
okay.
What have you gone for Ayling?
Well, I'll explain it first. I think obviously there's a few big moments in the season you got to look back on, which probably negatively on Ayling's part. Obviously, the sending off against Arsenal. I think that's going to be most people's memories of Luke Ayling this season. Yes, there was that absolute screamer at Man United. That was that winner at Wolves. There was some good performances in Luke Ayling's season, but all in all, I think it's been a big drop off. We're talking about a drop off from Illan Meslier. I think there has been a slight drop off from Illan Meslier, but Luke Ayling and a couple of other players, especially defensively, big drop off for me from Luke Ayling. I think again, Luke Ayling was a player that we either gave an 8 or 9 out of 10 last season. I can't remember what it was. I've gone quite a bit lower than that this time around. Let's caveat, he has had to go in at centre back a few games as well, which we know he's not best suited at centre back. He's done okay in some of them, and then there's other ones like Man City away where it's just gone horrendously wrong, and Liverpool away where he's been lucky not to get sent off in the first 20 minutes for a trip on Mane. There's been some really poor performances from Luke Ayling. And even going forward, I don't think, despite those goals against Man United and Wolves, I don't think he's created much going forward. I think the general quality of his crossing's not been good enough for me. Consistency of performance has not been great either. It's a 5 for me on Luke Ayling. I've gone a 5 out of 10. It's a classic kind of 5 out of 10 season. Some good moments, big drop off all in all, and nothing really you can look at as a redeeming quality from Luke Ayling's game this season. In any respect, really. I guess, even leadership, I've got to say, getting that red card at Arsenal, I can't really go down that route because he got himself sent off for a silly tackle, a really silly tackle against Arsenal, which would have been looked at in a very different way had we gone down, in my opinion. So I've gone 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm trying to have a look now, but I think I'll struggle to find it. The thing that stuck out last season was obviously the carrying the ball, the stats that he had that were even better than Messi's last season. And I don't think that I'm going to be able to find it as we go. It progressive distance carry.
Well, listen, I love Luke Ayling. I do love Luke Ayling, but it won't be as high as Messi this season. No. In terms of carrying the ball, those kind of stats. That's my hot take here, Phil. I'm gonna be confident here and say they will not be as good as what Messi's was last season. But no, it's very true. I remember that. I do remember that chat we had last season. It's a crazy drop off.
He's 4th in our squad for most distance progressed up the pitch. And Lorente is actually 1st, which surprised me a bit, but fair enough. I don't remember Lorente carrying that much. Anyway, yeah, on Ayling, I've gone 5.5. I know you hate the 0.5s, but I thought he was slightly better than Meslier or the other people I may not have given a 5 to.
Really, though? Was he better than Meslier? I can't think at any point this season where I thought Luke Halen was playing better than Meslier. Despite Meslier not having a great season himself, I can't remember any point where I thought Ayling's play, Mellier's the main problem in that back line. It's always kind of been for me.
No, I get the point. The thing for me was I'm going based on their entire season, and I think he's not had the best season, but I'm also going based on if I class them as their average performance. I think my ceiling for Meslier is a lot higher than my ceiling for Luke Ayling is, because I thought last season that Meslier, apart from maybe Donnarumma, is probably the best young goalkeeper in Europe's top 5 leagues. And I thought we had one of the best, and I think he's let himself slip a bit. Whereas Ayling, nobody's ever looked at Luke Ayling and gone, that's the best right back in the Premier League. I think he's doing exactly as we expect. He's getting on in a bit of age now. The red card will lead to people saying 3 and stuff like that. He's not had his best season, but I wouldn't say that he's gone that low under what I expected him to do, to be honest. The captain thing is the thing that sticks out the most. He's had to wear the armband when I don't believe he ever should have had it. I think it should have probably been Dallas, but the leadership's been lacking. Defensively, not as solid as he was last season, and going forward, nowhere near as good. But I mean, now I'm talking, I am tempted to bump it down to a 5 and just
we negotiate on a 5. I was going to say
we probably should.
Let's negotiate on a 5. Let's negotiate. It's been a poor season for Luke Halen by his high standards for me in terms of he's normally been the most consistent player in the team. Maybe not the best player in the team, but the most consistent. I think certainly in the Championship last season, I thought it was a constant figure of consistency. But yeah, I think Luke Halen has dropped off this season in all honesty, and it's a big pre-season for Luke Halen. He needs to show the old levels. I'd imagine he'll still be in the leadership group despite the red card at Arsenal. I don't think one moment should define him. I don't think that one moment should define what Luke Halen has done for the club. But it's a big... If he has a bad start to next season, you can bet your bottom dollar that's going to get brought up, that red card against Arsenal. He got away with that, and the fact that we didn't go down. It will get brought... I'm not saying it should be brought up, but it will be brought up by... and it's natural, football fans. It's natural. We're like that, football fans. We're fickle. But it will get brought up if we don't start the season well. So 5 out of 10 for me, all in all.
Yeah. He is a very lucky man. I'll give him that. But
I think I think it's one of them, isn't it? But
one that surprised both of us in terms of how many minutes he actually played. I didn't think we were going to end up talking about Jamie Shackleton on this episode, but he actually did play more than 500 minutes, which, do you remember him being involved that many times?
I remember he played a big part in that, what has turned out to be that crucial equalising goal at Turf Moor. He came on for the last sort of 20 minutes. I think he did play a lot of football this first bit of the season, mainly at right wing back or right back in the back 4. And to be honest with you,
7 games.
He will have been in that period.
7. I just don't remember him starting 7 games at all.
Right at the start of the season, I reckon he started probably 7 of the first 9 or 10 games off the top of my head. I don't think he started for a while, to be fair. I know he came on against Brighton, but to be honest, I think Jamie Shackleton, if we're talking pound for pound, I think he's actually played better than Luke Halen has when he's been at right back. Yeah. But he's not played enough minutes to rate very highly, but I thought he started the season quite well. Obviously, I've already spoken about that part he played in the Burnley goal. I think he gave us good energy. I thought him and Raf had something decent going in terms of connections, in terms of him making runs off Raf, underlapping Raf, overlapping Raf, and just giving him that energy around Raf to sort of take a defender away from Rafinha kind of thing. And listen, there's parts of James Shackleton's game that he's got to improve. And obviously with Cody, Drama coming back too, who's been like Cardiff's player of the season, one of the best right backs in the Championship. The big pressure is on Jamie Shackleton. And again, he's another player where I think it's a big pre-season for Jamie Shackleton. This is his 4th season at the club, in the senior team. And he's not really nailed down that starting place. And you're thinking this season, where it's gone so badly, that was his big opportunity, I think, at this moment in time. I hope I'm wrong. I do hope I'm wrong. But I think that might be the big opportunity for Jamie Shackleton this season to really kick on. Yeah. And the other thing as well with Shacks is that it's has he got that number 1 position? Is he a fullback? Is he a centre mid? It's hard to say, but I have to go off what he's done on the pitch. I think Jamie Shackleton's done pretty well on the pitch when he's played.
Yeah.
I've gone a 6 for Jamie Shackleton. I've gone a 6. I think he's been decent when he has played, but he's not played that many minutes. So ultimately, people may go quite a bit lower than that.
Yeah. So out of everyone that we are going to talk about, there's only really Bamford that's completed less minutes than Shackleton. He literally just sort of scrapes in. But and I know you said in there about putting Ayling higher, and I know I've taken the 0.5 off, but I went 5 for Shackleton, and basically because he's not been involved. And again, like you said, it was a season where he needed to try and stay. I know it's impossible to stay fit if you're going to get kicked, but I think he needed to have a season where he just stays fit, gets minutes and plays, whether that be at right back or whether it be in midfield, and actually get some minutes under his belt and start making himself into a first team player rather than just a squad player. I don't think he was poor at all when he was on the pitch. I think he was absolutely fine. There was times where, like you said, him and Rafa have got a good understanding together by the looks of things at times. But yeah, I just think I want to see a lot more from Shacks, and I haven't seen enough. So I went 5.
I think the thing I'd say is, though, if you're acknowledging he played better than Halen, despite not playing many minutes, we're basing this purely on the minutes played.
Yeah.
In terms of the rating we go with over, because I don't think there's much to talk about on Shacks. I'm happy to just jump into the rating. I've gone 6, you've gone 5. The only reason I push us towards a 6 is that you kind of said yourself you thought he played better than Halen, so surely you should get a slightly higher rating.
I'm just going off what I expected from them at the start of the season, and in terms of 6 being average and where I expected them to be, and 5 being just less than what I expected from him. And I think all I expected was more minutes. I don't think I fully expected him to break in and take the right back slot and have it on his own, and Ayling be on the bench permanently. But I expected him to be involved a bit more.
Well, there's low ratings here. There's a lot of 5s. I'm happy to go down to a 5. To be fair, listen, the people have spoken. Let's drop down to a 5. I'm not going to argue that. He played. How many minutes did he play overall in the end?
709.
Yeah, considering how many games he started in the first bit of the season, it's disappointing he didn't get more minutes. And listen, did he command that starting place enough? Probably not. And yeah, it might be a big opportunity miss for James Shackleton. I hope not. But let's agree on a 5 out of 10.
Are we going to go to Diego Lorente first next?
Yeah, do you want to move to centre backs? I think Lorente played the most minutes, hasn't he? Off the top of my head, out the centre backs.
Yes, he has.
Yeah.
There's only Dallas and Melier on this list tonight that have played more minutes than Lorente.
Yeah, listen, there's been a lot of bad moments for Lorente this season. I think when we're talking about 𝐃𝐎𝐿 dropping off, I think a look at Llorente's performances last season, I personally thought pound for pound, he probably was the most consistent player in the team in terms of overall performances. So outstanding ones where our defensive record massively improved when he came back into the team. But this season has been a drop off for Lorente, probably even bigger than Halen's, if I'm being honest. I've gone 5. I've gone 5 out of 10 because he's had some good patches of form. He has had the odd good patch of form. I think he had the good patch of form towards the back end of the season. I think in like the Palace away game, Watford away, we kept some quite crucial clean sheets and he played well in those games. A couple of nice goals as well. I think it's 2 or 3 goals he's got as well over the season.
3 goals.
Quite important ones as well. The Watford one, the winning goal against Watford, which obviously turned out to be crucial. So I think that side of his game has been fine. I think obviously on the ball, nowhere near the same level of composure. I don't think out of possession. Sometimes just overcomplicating things. But you want him to kind of like with his experience. I look at maybe the City away game when we were like 4 or 5-0 down, and Diego's still trying to dribble the ball out the back, and you're thinking we're 4 or 5-0 down here. Just keep it simple. Keep it simple. Don't open any other angles up for City. And I think we can see the 5th or 6th off the back of Lorente losing the ball.
Chelsea towards the end.
I'm struggling to give higher than the 5, to be honest. I think there's been some really, really bad performances from Lorente over the season. But the way he's finished the season, I think he's been playing better under Marsh. I think he has suited Marsh's system better. Just him as an individual in the team. So, yeah, I'll go 5 overall.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not far off you as always. One lower. I went 4. Surprisingly enough, he's got higher pass completion than Ayling, Dallas, even Calvin. Which really
would you say though, just on that, because I spotted that a few weeks ago as well, he's probably in like the least congested area of the pitch as a centre back. Like you look at Calvin in this kind of like Jesse Marsh team,
it's more it's the maverick passes. Like he doesn't seem to ever pass and look in the same direction. He's always looking over there. So I kind of assumed that he would have quite low pass completion. It's a pretty boring and shit stat anyway that can be used one way or the other. But I was just surprised to see that he actually doesn't rank too bad in terms of pass completion. But the 3 goals, yeah, fair enough. But like you said, there's just a really calamitous side to him. And obviously last season, and when I've said with the last 3 guys, like what I expected of them and what I believe their average is, I think obviously, like you said, towards back end of last season, we saw a top-notch defender. He looked like a Rolls Royce, and now this season, like the whole Cooperisms that gets thrown at Liam Cooper, I've never seen a more Cooperism player than Diego Lorente this season. Just absolutely calamitous at times and costs us. And obviously, Mellier's getting battered for 78 goals, and realistically, he's not had much help in some of them. So I think if anyone has let him down in front of him, and obviously he's played the most games, like you said, of the defenders behind him. So yeah, I've gone 4, and I'd be surprised if anyone. I think I saw a 7 up there, which really, really surprised me because I wasn't ready to see a 7 with Lorente. You muted, mate.
I wouldn't agree with a 7 at all. No, I can't really give. Well, there's not many 7s in this in this particular section of the show. Maybe in the next couple of player ratings, the next 2, we might have a few more 7s. But no, Lorente, I don't think at any point in the season has really looked like what he was last season. Even when he had his good spells this season, still not the Colossus, composed, experienced leader-like centre-back that I thought he was last season. And it's a crazy drop-off. It is a crazy drop-off, really, when you think about it. And I don't think it's an exaggeration to say I've not seen many centre-backs or players for Leeds in the last couple of years drop off so badly from one season to the next. So this is a big pre-season for Lorente. There is competition there. I think Charlie Creswell's getting mentioned in that right centre-back spot.
Yeah,
Robin Cox getting mentioned in the right centre-back spot. And that's if we don't sign another centre-back as well. So there's big pressure on Diego Lorente. And obviously, he's getting on a bit as well. I think he's pushing towards 30 now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a big season coming up for Lorente. I think he will probably start it, judging by, in terms of, I think Marsh likes Lorente-Cooper partnership for the experience side of it, but that position is certainly under threat, I think, if he does start the season badly. So,
I think most people would prefer to see Robin Cox start right centre back next season.
I probably will personally as well. It's just a guess. I think in pre-season initially, I think it will be Lorente-Cooper, but if Lorente is not at it, then I think Jesse Marsh would be brave enough to. It's not even being brave. It's not even being brave. This is a season of poor form from Lorente. So you have to question. Was last season the freak season kind of thing where he was just outstanding and massively outperformed expectations, or was this season the season where he underperformed expectations? I don't know. Was it a flash in the pan? Who knows? Next season will tell us that. But like Halen, other than maybe the odd crucial goal on a set piece, there's not many redeeming qualities and performances I can think of for Lorente to justify any higher than the 5. I'm pushing us towards 5s because I think I've seen a few more 5s and 6s and 4s. Are you happy to go over 5, mate?
Yeah, I'm easy, mate. I went 4, but I'm always a little bit lower than you anyway. So go.
I don't think he's been worse than Halen. I don't think he's been especially bad.
I think we should go 4.5. What do you think?
No. 5 out of 10. I didn't see that Alison Marty, Adam. Do not give Phil the opportunity to give us a 4.5.
We've had 4 pretty negative ones so far, and I think we're about to have maybe 4 more positive ones. We're going to go to Pascal first. Yeah,
Pascal's next on the list. Obviously, he's played most of the games at left centre-back. Has gone in at left-back the odd game, holding midfield. I think he's held his own, to be honest, because I think he's actually played well in the games he had to play holding midfield and left-back. I think certainly left-back, he looked pretty comfortable in. Even the last couple of games of the season, we were kind of calling for Stroud to start at at left back in that lot. But yeah, I think it's actually been centre back where he probably has more of his more dodgy-ish kind of performances. But again, for me, Pascal, a bit like Illan Meslier, not quite made the same level of progression that I think we all kind of expected. We all expected this to be Pascal's big breakthrough season. He has been unlucky, injuries, obviously that nonsense red card against Liverpool, which kind of really ruined his momentum early on in the season, that 3-game ban. I think it's just been an average season rather than a poor or good one. I think he's had good moments. Obviously, that goal against Brighton will forever be remembered.
Yeah.
I think he's just had quite an average season. I don't think he's shown the same. Again, it's going to be like a constant theme with kind of the defenders. Not the same composure out the back. Consistency-wise hasn't quite been there. But yeah, I've gone 6. I've gone 6 for Pascal overall.
Yeah, I'm the same, mate. We're bang on the same one for the first time. But with Pascal, it is an average season in that I know he can be a lot better. I think his confidence took a batter in a similar time to Melié's, to be honest, mid-season. But finally got his goal towards the end of the year. Surprisingly, he's got the highest pass completion of any of our players. And I think you can kind of tell that. I think he has looked more reliable on the ball. Weirdly enough, I've actually liked him at left back when he's been there, but I would have liked pretty much a bag of crisps at left back. So that's not really a big compliment. But yeah, in terms of Pascal, I still think there's a massive player in there, and the future when Cooper does start to get moved on. But people will always make the argument that maybe he should start ahead of Cooper. I don't think this season has gone quite the way I expected it to for him. And I expected this to be the season where we sort of started to say goodbye to Cooper because Pascal was going to start next season. But at the moment, you'd struggle to argue him pushing Cooper out constantly. Obviously, Cooper's always going to have injuries and he's always going to miss games. So Pascal will get games. But next season, I'd like to see what I expected to see this season, where we are sort of edging towards getting rid of sort of the older core of the championship squad, and Pascal and Koch really taking over from Cooper and Lorente, but it doesn't seem like that came anywhere near this season, unfortunately, for him. So I give him a 6.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I think Pascal's someone, again, who'll probably start next season on the bench and probably is reliant on a Cooper. Because I don't see a situation, unless a Cooper injury, Cooper red cards, he's kind of almost reliant on that at this moment in time, Pascal, because obviously Coops has been playing so well. I think it's like a situation now where that is the case. I don't see a situation where, with Bielsa, where at the start of the season we played Pascal at the right of the two, Cooper on the left. That definitely doesn't suit Pascal for me playing on the right. He has to play on that left-hand side, where the angles are spot on for him playing out the back. I don't think he looked natural at all on that right-hand side because he had to keep turning in on himself to get on his stronger foot. I didn't like that at all. I don't like.
It's really easy to forget as well. He is actually only 21.
Yeah, exactly. I just think, I think it's just a classic 6 out of 10 season. Some good games, bad games, generally inconsistent. Probably a bit of average, I'd say.
Yeah.
So let's agree on the 6. We've both gone 6. We'll go with 6 for Pascal.
We move on to the skipper.
Yeah, let's go to the skipper. For me, he's had the best season out of everyone on this list. And to be fair, it's probably contender for player of the season. The only reason, I think pound for pound, he probably has been our best player this season in terms of purely on games played. But that's exactly it. Not enough games played for his skipper. 22 games. I can't blame him for getting injured because he's fully committed. He's always had slight injury problems, but when he's played, I think he's been really good. I think he's been a big part. He is the reason for me why we have stayed up. Big part of the reason. Leadership, the man of the match performances towards the back end of the season. We went on a really good run with him in the team in terms of keeping clean sheets. I think we went kind of like 5 games with him in the team without conceding a goal in open play. So I think it's been a good season from Coops. I think he's probably the one player for me in the whole squad, other than maybe Adam Forshaw, who's improved from his previous performances. I think he genuinely has probably hit his peak now in terms of performances. And I've got absolutely no problem at all with Coops starting next season. In fact, I think he should start next season. And I think it's been a strong season from Lane Cooper. And this rating would genuinely be much higher if he played much more games, and I think that's fair enough. I've gone 7. I think most people on here have gone 7. I think it's just been, I think he's played well, and certainly being the best in this section of the player ratings by quite a distance for me.
Yeah, mate, I'm the same. He's easily the highest on this list. I went 6.5, but I'm happy to round up to a 7. I think to be honest, more of what speaks to the quality of him is when he wasn't there than when he is. The state of the defence, and like we've levelled at the more season, the lack of leadership when he's not there. You can tell, and I think that's a massive compliment to him. You can tell when he's not there that we haven't got the same sort of level-headedness. And obviously, in terms of what you expect from people, I didn't expect, like I said, with the Pascal Struijk thing, I thought with Struijk he'd be taking Cooper's place by the end of this season, and it's absolutely not gone that way at all. And like you just said, I can happily see Liam Cooper, if he's fit, starting next season. And at the end of the day, when he is fit, he will start games. He's never been on the bench. He isn't a substitute. He starts every game.
I think the big thing that impresses me most with Cooper was he didn't have a good start to the season. Obviously, the Man United game, Everton, where he gave away that penalty, which could have been a crucial moment in the season, really, when you think how close towards Everton were on Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And then the Liverpool game, where Liverpool had chance after chance after chance. I think Mane had more shots than our whole team put together in that particular match. And then you think, obviously, Pascal actually came on in that game. People forget he came on in that game, got sent off. At that point, I think that was when Liam Cooper's position was under threat. I think before Pascal got that red card, because I think the next game after that, there's a real possibility Pascal might have gone into the team and Coops had come out. And I think that's the first time you can say that under Bielsa. He's had big spells out this season, shown unbelievable resilience, I think. Obviously, when you're out for 4 months and you come back in, and the first game back of it was Southampton, for me, man the match. Watford came after that, man the match for me. Palace away, man the match. And then he comes out, so we keep, we take results in all those games. He comes out the team, gets an injury in training. He gets an injury in the warm-up for the City game, comes out the team, can't train for a few weeks. We can see 4 against City, 2 against Arsenal. All of a sudden, we're back in a real mess again. He comes in for that Chelsea game. Obviously, that didn't go to plan. And then Brighton, Brentford, I thought he played really well again. So I think I'm pushing for us for a 7 here, Jazz. I think most people are on a 7. Are you happy to? Yeah,
absolutely, mate. I'm happy to go 7. End of the day, I think he's going to be the winner of tonight. But we'll see.
He is,
Player of the season material might just be getting edged out by a couple, but he's definitely in the conversation.
I think it's only because of. I think obviously this is a fair point. Obviously, the defensive record, you're questioning out how anyone could get a good rating for the defensive record, but I think, we know the defensive record's been much, much better with Cooper in the team than what it has without it. Obviously, we conceded 7 against City without him, 6 against Liverpool, 4 against Arsenal, 4 against City again. We've had a lot of hammerings without Coops in the team. We've had some with him in the team, but when you look at it over the season, with the defensive records being much better, the defensive record's actually been okay when he's been in the team. Over a season, it's not been too bad in terms of when he's been in the team. When he's out of it, we'd have got. If Coops hadn't come back from injury, I don't think it's too hot a take to say we probably would have gone down. To be honest, I think we would have lost the Palace game. I don't think they've been held to keep out Zaha and Eze and Elise, all these players. Then obviously got the Southampton game with Broja. I'm just thinking it could have got really nasty had Coops not been back in the team. And that's a concern in itself, because if you're relying on the player who, listen, he has got injury problems. He has had injury problems in the past. Maybe even in the future he will be out for the Oz game, unfortunately. That's a concern and maybe something that we might need to address in the summer. Who knows? Yeah. But I still think Pascal long-term is a fine backup and replacement for Coops in a couple of seasons' time for me. I still believe that, despite Pascal not advancing and being quite as good as what we were expecting this season. So is that all the centre backs? I think it is.
No, well, we've still got Robin Koch, so we'll do Robin.
We
Koch
have. Sorry, we have.
Unless you're going to class Robin Koch as a right back these days.
No. So I'd completely forgot about Robin. To be fair,
mate, I actually really like him at right back. After the last few games.
Sorry, by the way, that wasn't me having to go at Koch saying it'd been a forgettable season. I genuinely had completely forgot him on this list. But listen,
I like this. the higher rating for right back and slightly lower for centre back.
Yeah.
I'm very much with Danny on those numbers. I gave him a 6, but then after talking about Pascal, I think I want to bump it up to a 6.5. And again, if that has to get rounded up to a 7, then it gets rounded up to a. It can't go to 7 though. He's not been as good as Cooper.
Well, I think the thing with he's not played enough minutes. I think again, similar to Cooper, he's played even less minutes than Cooper. I reckon he's probably played less minutes at centre back than the other positions. I think, in fairness, I think in holding midfield under Marsh, I think he's played really well. Right back, he's played really well. I think he's been one of the big success stories under Jesse Marsh. He's been consistently playing. Out of position, he's become something of a utility man, a bit Berra-esque kind of thing in terms of, I think he's been a really important part of why we stayed up in those sort of last 2 or 3 games, because I think he's, again, been one of the better players on the pitch. As centre-back, listen, there's one game that always comes back to haunt me in terms of Robin Koch. It's that first game of the season. Man-marking Bruno Fernandes. Calvin wasn't fully fit. He was given the job of man-to-man marking on Bruno Fernandes. Fernandes gets a hat-trick, and Robin Koch, I think, is then out for, 4 months after that? I think it was about 4 or 5 months. But there's been good moments too. I think obviously that man-marking job he did on Chris Wood in the crucial win against Burnley when we went to a back 3. He's on Chris Wood for the full 90 really, because you know what Burnley are going to do against us. They're going to play the ball long. They're going to look for those flick-ons from Chris Wood. Robin Koch stamps them out every single time. He went into holding midfield against West Ham in the big win away from home at West Ham. I thought he did a really, really good job on Lanzini. I think it was Lanzini who was in the 10 role that day. Declan Rice was making runs as well. Did a really good job. The Wolves game as well, he came on in that one, went to midfield. That pass he played into Halen was absolutely mad. But listen, it's moments more than anything. It's moments and odd games that we're picking out here. And that ultimately has to improve for me off Robin Koch. But I think he's been one of our better players in that position, considering how few minutes he's played. And had he played more minutes, I'd have quite happily gone to a 7. I think he's played well when he's played. I think if you ask me right now, what was my number 1 centre-back pairing be? It probably would be Koch and Cooper. Unless, obviously, listen, I'm a massive fan of Charlie Creswell as well. I've never hidden that. But right now, it probably would be Koch and Cooper. I think Koch really is, at this moment in time, probably most suited to that right centre-back spot, to be totally honest with you. So yeah, I've gone a 6. I think he's been crucial at times and Berra-esque this season. Not played every game, but when he has played, he's been asked to do several different jobs. Yeah. I think he's done them pretty well.
I'm going to do an Oscar hot take. I actually think he's been our best right back this season.
That's not a hot take. That's not a hot take.
But yeah, I would also love to see him start next season at right centre back, and I'd like to see him get more games there. But like you said, especially under Marsh, I think he's been all right in the holding midfield role, which it has looked to struggle to get that sorted, especially in the early stages of Marsh with before Calvin came back. And I think Koch and Forshaw was okay. 𝐃𝐿 was okay. He's been one of the more consistent performers. And I think in terms of some of the things with Mellier's distribution have actually begun to look better with Robin Koch being in the right back position. So instead of the ball being twatted up the middle, he can now actually ping a ball out to a fullback, and it's getting like headed on and fed up the line that way, which I think's really worked well. And obviously, he's been booting those balls out to players like Harrison, Dan James, Dallas, and it's not worked. But because they don't have the kind of stature of a Robin Koch, so yeah, I'm really happy with him. I hope there was rumours of him leaving this summer. I hope he doesn't, and fingers crossed, try and change Jesse Marsh's mind on the starting lineup for next season and get in there. But who are we going to go to next, Oscar? I dread to start this one. I think I might have to let you start. Oh no, it's Dallas.
We agreed on a 6. So we agreed on a 6 for Koch. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's go on to that, because Dallas has actually played more minutes than Firpo over the season, hasn't he? I think. And listen, I know he's been here, there, and everywhere, but he's probably played most of his games at left back in place of Junior Firpo. But okay, let's go on to Stuart Dallas.
Yeah. So Dallas, I've gone 6. I couldn't go any higher because he can do everything. And the only thing that I'll say for Dallas this season, there is not one point, and even when he had a bit of a dip in form, There was never a point where I thought he wasn't trying or he didn't care, which is something I leveled at quite a few of these players during the season when it was all going wrong. But even the day that Bielsa got sacked, the Spurs game, and he goes round Lloris and he can't score, it never felt like that's because he didn't want to or because he wasn't trying. I think in terms of last season, he hit unbelievable heights last season, and he made memories that Leeds fans will have for years to come. But and this season will be nothing in comparison. He'll probably forget about this season quite quickly. And obviously it's ended in a horrible way for him. But I think he has had times where his form dipped. But I wouldn't say 5. I'd say 6 is a fair rating for Stuart Dallas.
Yeah, I agree. It's been another classic 6 out of 10 type of season. Not for Stuart Dallas, but in terms of what you'd expect from a 6 out of 10 kind of season. It's one of them, I think last season, really, you look at Stuart Dallas, he became a regular in midfields where even if the fullback spots were open, we were putting other players in those positions. Alioski was going in. Aiden was obviously a constant at right back. Who else went to left back? Someone else went to left back at stages last season. Stuart Dallas was seen, for me, by Marcelo Bielsa. I'm not saying this is fact, but it always felt like to me, for Marcelo Bielsa, Stuart Dallas became his number 1, number 8 kind of thing, his main centre midfielder ahead of Calvin. It was Calvin, Dallas, and someone else, it felt like last season. I don't think Stuart Dallas has quite had that this season in terms of that he's been absolute number 1 in any position kind of thing. He's played every game. He has played every game, but he's been played in every single kind of position. And that's not necessarily a good thing this season. I think this season is an example of where it's gone wrong a little bit, where in terms of performances has dipped. He's struggled for consistency. He's not really been given a consistent position. So that's something that's a massive caveat on this season. I just think he's been pretty similar in all positions, really. If he's been playing in midfields, holding midfields, right back and left back, I think he's been pretty similar in terms of Stuart Dallas this season in that kind of respect. But yeah, I think you've pretty much covered it all for me, to be honest, mate. I think the desire's been there, no question. I think there's been some big performances against Wilfred Zaha in both games. I thought he did a really good job, to be honest. Certainly that home game at Ellen Rose, I thought he did a really good job. Yeah, and there's a few others that I can't quite think of off the top of my head. But yeah, there's certainly things in there I thought, yeah, Dallas has been on it today kind of thing. So you compare him to last season, big drop off, but he has had good moments. I think overall he will. Well, listen, it's going to be a long time, sadly, until Stuart Dallas is going to be fit again to start games. I do feel like he will be a starter still.
Yeah.
Not sure what position it'll be, but who knows? It depends how the season develops without Stuart Dallas. It might totally develop. But yeah, no doubt about it. Stuart Dallas is a legend. And yeah, decent season for Stuart Dallas, all in all. I think we can agree on the 6, can't we? I think.
Yeah, happily, mate. Still completed the most outfield.
Probably 6 out of 10 of all 6 out of 10 seasons. I think with Stuart Dallas for me, it's. But yeah, let's agree on the 6.
Yeah,
6 out of 10 for Stuart Dallas. And this is the last one now, wasn't it? The last player.
I feel like I might have to let you start on this one.
The one everyone's been waiting for us to start with, Junior Firpo. Right, okay. I think the first thing to start off with is Firpo's not played many games, really. It feels like he's played a lot, but I think he's played less than half the games, hasn't he? Or certainly less than half the starts.
Started exactly half 19.
Yeah, that's... In terms of, obviously, with Alioski, you had that constant availability. Listen, Alioski was criticised at times. I thought Alioski overall was a good player for Leeds United. And I do understand why in the summer we looked to upgrade that position. I think if you ask anyone, the position most people wanted to strengthen first and foremost, it was a left-back situation. Maybe centre-mid, but probably most would have gone left-back. And ultimately, you look at Junior Firpo, has he improved us in any kind of respect in that position? The honest answer at this moment in time is no. And I don't think that's... Listen, I don't think Junior Firpo would say any different. I don't think Jesse Marsh would say any different. I think, or Marcelo Bielsa, I think it has been disappointing. It's disappointing for me because I've seen Junior Firpo play for Barcelona. I know it's a different league. I know he's playing for one of the best teams in the world. He's playing with people like Lionel Messi. He's got Dembele in front of him, etc., etc. Griezmann, all these different players in that lot. But he was so much better than this. He was so much better. Going forward, especially, I've been shocked by Firpo's delivery at times. I thought, watching him for Barcelona, the quality of crosses he was able to put in, getting ahead of his man, overlapping, it just hasn't happened for him. It's been really, really disappointing in that respect. And it was a signing I was very, very much for. And I'm not going to hide from that. I thought it made a lot of sense for us. I'm not going to suddenly change the narrative on that. And I think a lot of Leeds fans are happy with the signing. But listen, I've seen a lot of like 2s and 3s. I don't think Junior Firpo's been that bad. I genuinely don't think he's been that bad. I don't think he's been. The thing I disagree with is that he's been so much worse than the rest of the back four. I don't think he has personally. I think you could say he's probably played the poorest out of the back four, but I don't think he's been that much worse. I think the back four has just been bad because it's been bad this season kind of thing. I don't think it's been bad just on Junior Firpo, but it's even the redeeming qualities we've spoken about in terms of Lorente and Halen. We've not seen even that ability to get up and down the pitch really, really quickly and have loads of energy. I've not even seen that from Junior Firpo, so that's a disappointment. But what I will say is, back end of the season, last couple of games, I think he has slowly but surely, I think he's played quite well, to be honest with you. I think he has played quite well. Listen, there's moments where he's still kind of scratching your head a little bit, where he got negs twice by Brian Mbeumo and in the Brentford game, and didn't start the Brighton game too well. But I genuinely do think he's played better towards the back end of the season. He did have a spell around Christmas, the Burnley home game, West Ham away game, where I thought he played quite well as well. But ultimately, you look at it over the whole season, I don't know. I'm kind of between a 4 and a 5 on it with Junior Firpo. And this is what Yorkshire Pirlo's saying in terms of Firpo is better than Lorente. I don't think there was that big a gap between Lorente and Firpo. That's not a big thing to say, but I don't think Lorente was that much better than Firpo, or Firpo was that much worse than Lorente. I think they both had really bad moments over the season. And obviously the yellow cards thing as well. Listen, that's really got to sort itself out. But I don't know if he will be backup first choice, or what the situation will be next season. But he did improve towards the back end of the season for me, and that won't be a popular take. But God, I'm struggling. I'll go with 5.
I can agree with you that he did improve towards the back end of the season. He did get better in the last few games, but he couldn't have got any fucking worse. Honestly, I honestly think he's the worst left back I've ever seen at Leeds United, and I can go back to
categorically not the worst, mate. I don't want to. There's been a much Federico Bassoni, Cameron Borthwick Jackson.
Hey, I'm still saying it. I'm still saying it.
Shane Lowry. How many more do we want to go at?
I can keep going on that, and I'll still just he's still the worst. He's absolutely terrible.
Mate, he's not worse than that. No matter what you think, he's not worse. He's categorically not worse than them.
They didn't cost 15 million quid from Barcelona. They're not getting paid 90 grand a week, and
that's a big thing to put.
The thing that's always gonna, I will be harsher on Firpo than, I don't think Lorente's had a good season at all, and I've only gone 3 for Firpo. Like, I could go a hell of a lot lower, but like I've said on the last few shows, it's not about. If it's Calvin Phillips, a lot of times, even if he's had a shit game, some of us will sit here and we'll give him a 6 because he's the Yorkshire Pirlo. We've got the Leeds United goggles on. He's one of us, and it goes the other way as well. If you're a dickhead to the fans, mate, I'm not going to sit here and try and stick up for you. And in my opinion, he doesn't give a shit about this club, doesn't give a shit about these fans, and doesn't deserve any sort of sticking up for it. His performances this season have been an absolute fucking joke. And to play like that, and you've got, say, Tyler Roberts, who's had a load of stick this season, as always, for not necessarily being Premier League quality. But at the same time, I respect Tyler Roberts to come and clap fans that'll boo him maybe sometimes, or groan when he's getting brought on as a sub. He will clap the fans every time, Tyler Roberts. Junior Firpo, even on the last game of the season, there's a fucking lap of honour, and him and Rodrigo are down the tunnel, and he's getting sent back out. Like, you shouldn't need telling that that's not the right thing to do. And look, quality-wise on the pitch, I still believe when I'm saying he's one of the worst left-backs I've ever seen at Leeds United. I will stand by that. And when it comes to just, can I stick up for him based on the way he interacts with us? No, I can't. I can't stomach that. Like, it's not a, I don't want to, it's not a, I hope he improves over the summer and comes back and plays well. I genuinely just never want to see him in a Leeds shirt again. I will drive him wherever the fuck he wants to go as soon as possible. Just can't deal with it.
Well, let's go on to a rating, because I've gone a generous 5, you've gone a 3. Should we just negotiate to a 4?
No, I can't negotiate to a 4. I've negotiated to a 3, mate. That was me negotiating.
Let's move on. We'll go 4.
Overall.
I think, listen, I was going between a 4 and a 5. I think you look at the injuries, the red cards as well. It just hasn't happened, has it? It hasn't happened. And I don't know. I'm not sure what the Firpo situation would be. I'm not going to try and guess it. It depends what Jesse Marsh's opinion is on Firpo. He has played probably more under Marsh than what he did under Bielsa, if I'm right in saying, I think. Certainly in terms of per game, I think whenever Firpo's been available, he has tended to play. He needs a big start to next season. There's no question about that. He needs to at least put in a similar level of performance to what he has done the last 2 or 3 games of the season. I think in terms of obviously
defend better. I mean,
yeah,
if he is to stay,
yeah, obviously,
like going forward, especially the last few games of the season, you can see he can go forward. The crossing's not been good enough, but I need to see a hell of a lot better. Like, I know it's the Tottenham game and it's the day Bielsa got sacked, but Kulusevski's killed him, mate. And Kulusevski's one of about 10 that I can reel off that have absolutely killed him this season. And
I think the big thing for me is, I think Firpo and Harrison need to build up an understanding. I don't think there's ever really been an understanding there this season, not like Alioski and Harrison. In terms of, yes, they weren't playing like exchanging amazing passes and amazing combination play, but when Harrison went inside, he knew Alioski would be ahead of him. He knew Alioski would always push up. I think with Firpo, he's trying to stay a bit deeper, Firpo, try and thread the passes into Harrison rather than going ahead of Harrison kind of thing. I think Jack Harrison doesn't want to go 1v1 as much as what Firpo's maybe used to. I think Firpo's used to having someone like Ansu Fati in front of him. I'll pass the ball to Ansu Fati and just cover him kind of thing. Stay behind him in case he loses the ball. I think Jack Harrison's less natural in terms of dribbling. I think he wants someone ahead of him to take a defender away from Jack Harrison kind of thing. They need to, whatever it is, they need to work on an understanding, because it's not been good enough understanding, I don't think, between the two. I think he
affects Liam Cooper as well in that. I feel like I feel like Cooper overcompensates trying to look after him, whereas he's the only thing that's been holding us together defensively.
But I think that's the same across the back line, to be honest. I think Lorente and Halen, I don't think there's been the same chemistry there on the right side of the defence either. I think one's been trying to cover the other, and ultimately it's all over the place. And that's why we conceded 78 goals. We've not conceded 78 goals from 1 or 2 players playing poorly. I think just all over the place.
Wide areas is definitely, especially under Marsh. And look, it's because of the tactics. If you are going to play the cock and balls formation, and you don't have that support from wingers for the fullback, I think most of the goals, if you go back and watch, that we've conceded in the last 12 games of the season since Marsh have come in, have come from either the right back or the left back area. Yeah,
no, that's definitely fair. When you look at what Marsh tends to work with in terms of fullbacks, obviously Angelino at Leipzig, who's phenomenal going forwards, regularly gets sort of 10, 12 assists a season. Probably was on our list actually for left backs, wasn't he? Probably Angelino.
Yeah.
And then obviously on the right side of the defence, that's something that Halen and Firpo have both got improved massively for me to be first choice fullbacks under Marsh next season. Going forward's got to improve massively. Defensively's got to improve massively. And listen, I don't know what will happen in the summer in terms of those players. I'm not going to try and guess, but yeah, I can kind of see a case either way. To be totally honest with you, it's But yeah, listen, it's not worked out so far. He needs a big start to next season. He needs a big start to next season. As do many players.
Someone else.
Even listen, I wouldn't even go next season. I'd go pre-season. He needs a good pre-season. Yeah, if he's not performing in pre-season, if he's still looking, dodgy at the back, not great going forward, giving the ball away, genuinely not getting up and down the pitch very well, I don't think we can risk it. I don't think we can risk Firpo being the start. I don't think we can take the risk of not being sure on the left back.
I think we will sign a left back.
I'll go even further than him starting next season well. But yeah, listen, we'll negotiate on the 4 anyway. We'll negotiate on the 4. It probably would have been lower on a lot
of players. That's not negotiating. That's just you winning.
Yeah, it is. But I agreed on a few other ones. I know. But yeah, these ratings would have been much lower, I think, across the board had we gone down. I'm not going to back away from that. I'm not going to lie about that. It would have been a lot lower, to be honest. But yeah, I think Jonny Edwards, I still feel like from what I've seen at Barcelona, it's going to sound mad. But I do think there is potential there, but he's going to have to get more used to this team. He's going to have to improve his understanding with Harrison and it's on Firpo now. It's not on the coaches, it's on Firpo. It's got to come from within. End of the day, but
there has to be some sort of interaction with the fans that makes up for me. Like there's not just a carry on next season and keep doing the walk down the tunnel, don't clap the fans, be a dickhead.
Yeah.
Like I want a fucking apology, mate, and I'm taking it really fucking personally.
I would never guess that, Phil. I'd never guess that you'd
so personally.
Listen, I cannot wait until we do Rodrigo. We're going to need to do a separate show just for you to give your thoughts on Rodrigo this season.
Yeah, I mean, Firpo and Rodrigo are my two. And mate, there's no.
Never would have guessed. Anyway, mate, we're coming up to an hour. It's been great fun. We're going to do another 2, obviously, across this week. I'm not sure exactly when we're going to get them out, but we'll do another 2 live ones similar to this on the midfielders and the forwards. Let us know in the comments if you are watching this after we've finished going live. You're watching this Tuesday morning or after we've finished. Let us know in the comments your ratings for the season. But yeah, we've given you.
You're going to say the word. Anyway. Tell them to do it, mate. Go on.
Smash that like button. Smash the like button if you agree with the ratings, or even if you don't. And hit that subscribe button if you haven't done already. But yeah, next video, we will see Phil give his long-awaited rating for Rodrigo Molino. I'm actually looking forward to that. I'm just going to sit back here. I'm going to mute. Sit back. I might create like a fake account as well, just to wind you up on the chat. Yeah, I might do that now. I might well do that. But anyway, guys, hit that subscribe button if you haven't done already. Check out Scott's most recent video too. It's a good one on Rafinha. And yeah, big thanks for watching, guys. And we will be back with plenty more. See you later.
Cheers, guys.